It might be difficult to imagine a society without science and technology. The reality is much of the world's way of doing things is guided by these developments. So having its own place in Jamaica through Science and Technology Month is no surprise. And having its own place in the world through World Science Day also makes sense. I'm sure you've already summed it up. Locally, November is observed as Science and Technology Month, and globally, today is World Science Day for peace and development. Hi, I'm Theodore Henry and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. Today's magazine engagement runs very much along the lines of science and technological developments. I've said those words a lot already, right? Well, I have so much more to share, but let's talk after the day's news.
To properly carry out a hand rub, apply a palmful of the product in your cupped hand, covering all surfaces. Rub your hands palm to palm. Rub your right palm over the back of your left hand with interlaced fingers and vice versa. Rub your hands palm to palm with fingers interlaced. Rub the back of your fingers to opposing palms with fingers interlocked. Rotationally rub backwards and forwards the clasped fingers of your right hand in your left palm and vice versa. Once your hands are dry, they are now safe.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, November 10. Education Minister Favour Williams is assuring school administrators that plans are in place to accommodate all students leaving the 11th grade. The ministry recently announced the implementation of a 2-year extension of high school up to grade 13. But some schools have complained that they are unable to accommodate students due to space and resource constraints. However, during this morning's post-cabinet press briefing, it was shared that the ministry is working with schools to ensure that all students are accommodated.
We are working in collaboration as well with many of our community colleges and other institutions to facilitate our students who register for the sixth form program.
We have conducted our space audits within our high schools, and we also extended that to our tertiary institutions, and that is why we were able to come up with the idea of the off-site opportunities for our boys and girls. So we do understand the concerns of some of our principals at this time, but I use this opportunity to assure them that we are working along with you to ensure that you can address your limitations and to make sure at the end of the day, all our students are given the opportunity to improve in their certification.
The sixth form pathway program has 3 streams: traditional, technical, and general pathway. Under the traditional program, students are prepared for university-level training and, upon completion, will receive an occupational or UCJ-approved associate degree. Through the technical pathway, students with no CXC passes but have an NVQJ Level 1 or 2 certification will be trained in a labor market skill of choice at grade 12 and have the option to pursue an occupational associate degree in grade 13. For students in the general sixth form pathway, emphasis will be placed on increasing literacy and numeracy skills while attaining City and Guild's Basic Proficiency Skills certification or a specialized skill area at the NVQJ level. The Ministry of Health and Wellness has announced its intent to re-engage the private sector to expand the number of labs for the PCR and antigen COVID-19 tests. Portfolio Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton gave the update in Parliament on Tuesday. He says the ministry will be working in conjunction with the Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation, JANAC, the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, and the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica. Importers of test kits must have them validated and approved by the Standards and Regulation Division of the Ministry of Health. Laboratories wishing to use these kits must get accreditation and approval from JANAC. Already, 15 laboratories are being assessed, with 10 at an advanced stage of accreditation to conduct COVID-19 testing in the population. These labs will join the current cadre of testing sites, which include 12 laboratories approved for antigen testing, 7 for PCR testing, and 1 collection center or reference site.
This represents, therefore, a two-pronged approach of increasing the number of kits available for testing and increasing the number of labs offering testing will expand the level of testing within the population for the various activities for increasing awareness of infection rates in the organization or increased requirement for travel. These actions will further remove the barriers for persons who need access to safe testing sites within the population and provide Jamaicans with greater opportunities to manage the risks associated with the COVID-19 pandemic.
The boards of the Airports Authority of Jamaica, AAJ, and its subsidiary, the Norman Manley International Airports Limited, NMIA, have been dissolved by Transport Minister Robert Montague. This is to allow for recommendations and investigations into investments the AAJ made in a startup entity. Minister Montague, who gave the update at yesterday's sitting of Parliament, says the current boards, which were created after the investments, have shown their commitment to proper administration by offering to resign.
While these boards consist of new directors, and the point must be made that the current board was a different board from the board that made the investments. Directors who were not members during the purchase of these shares, they have decided to vacate the position. Madam Speaker, I am heartened by their decision to protect the integrity of the institution, and their commitment to good governance has not gone unnoticed. This will give the ministry and any other investigative body room to conduct their investigations and make recommendations.
Minister Montague says the AAJ has an investment policy that is usually amended to accommodate new developments or products in the investment market, which it considers suitable for its portfolio. Persons wishing to access pest risk analysis services from the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries must do so through the Jamaica Single Window for Trade J-Swift platform. Chief Plant Quarantine and Produce Inspector Saniel Wilson Graham made the announcement during a recent interview with JIS News. The measure took effect on November 1.
This means that the branch will be able to respond in a more timely and efficient manner. It will reduce, of course, your need to come into the office to make the request, as well as the use of paper. This would make our services more efficient and certainly serve you way better.
To register for the J-Swift platform, persons are required to input their taxpayer registration number and a contact number. Among other things, traders will be able to electronically submit applications for licenses, permits, certificates, and other regulatory requirements. And finally, the Mines and Geology Division of the Ministry of Transport and Mining is reiterating that there will be no mining in the proposed Cockpit Country Protection Area. The division's reassurance comes amidst concern in the media about mining activity in an area between St. Elizabeth and Manchester, which is said to be part of the Cockpit Country and Maroon lands. According to a map provided by the Mines and Geology Division, a proposed special exclusive prospecting license had been issued to Gisco Alpart to explore for bauxite in an area between St. Elizabeth and Manchester. The area stated in the notice is intended for mineral exploration and not mining. The division asserts that a mining lease would have to be granted for mining to take place, and currently only an exploratory agreement is in effect. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
On today's edition of Jamaica House Weekly, we share highlights of Prime Minister Andrew Holness representing the island's interests at the 26th staging of the Conference of the Parties in Glasgow, Scotland between October 30 and November 4. I'm Anthony Morgan. Welcome. On November 1, Prime Minister Holness kicked off his engagement at COP26 by calling on world leaders to increase the quality of climate finance available to small island developing states. The Prime Minister says funding is urgently needed to strengthen Jamaica's resilience and reduce its vulnerabilities.
This means boosting grant funding from its current levels and allocating at least half of concessional climate finance to support adaptation and resilience objectives.
Prime Minister Holness was addressing the leaders' event at COP26. It was held under the theme Action and Solidarity, a Critical Decade. Later in the day, the Prime Minister unveiled Jamaica's climate change adaptation and mitigation plan in a national statement at COP26's plenary session. He also pointed out that Jamaica has sponsored a catastrophe bond to finance losses from hurricanes and launched a green bond project on the Jamaica Stock Exchange to fund environmentally sound initiatives. A predictive climate risk tool is also being developed to identify vulnerable areas to guide infrastructure development and investments. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that Jamaica had secured a $1 million grant from the Government of India to boost its efforts at building climate resilience. The funds will support the construction of facilities for sustainable agriculture. Mr. Holness made the disclosure as he addressed the launch of the Infrastructure for Resilient Island States high-level event. He also shared the innovative ways the country was utilizing to finance climate adaptation. Among them, the development of a first-of-its-kind climate risk assessment planning tool for major infrastructure investments. Mr. Holness also used his presentation to seek funding for Northern solar-pumped hydroelectric power storage project to end perennial drought on the island.
This would make clean, sustainable use of Jamaica's high concentration of fresh water resources in the north of our country to serve the large population centers and drought-prone agricultural south.
Tuesday also saw the Prime Minister in attendance at the high-level panel for a sustainable ocean economy.
Jamaica will do its part towards the 100% goal as we seek to drive solutions to the climate change crisis and keep our commitment to 1.5.
This includes sustainably managing 100% of national ocean areas by 2025 and 30% of the world's oceans by 2030. Mr. Holness also reiterated calls for increased access to adaptation funding to boost local capacity. Prime Minister Holness also held several bilateral talks on the margins of COP26. He met with Alok Sharma, president of COP26, which was jointly hosted by Great Britain and Italy. The two spoke of how critical the outcome of the conference was to small island developing states such as Jamaica. Similar discussions were had with the Secretary General of the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States. Making the climate agenda a global one was the main talking point in Mr. Holness's conversation with Secretary General of the United Nations and Prince Charles of the United Kingdom. The Prime Minister also discussed ways to strengthen the Caribbean's voice on climate adaptation funding with the President of Guyana and Barbados' Prime Minister. And following Jamaica's participation at COP26, Prime Minister Andrew Holness joined his CARICOM counterparts to call on world leaders to act on their commitment to fund climate resilience in small island developing states. According to Mr. Holness, members from developed countries are yet to live up to their 2009 pledge of $100 billion annually to fund climate adaptation in developing countries. The Prime Minister also called on world leaders to redouble efforts to limit global warming below 1.5 degrees Celsius. This, he argued, was even more urgent as the Caribbean, islands in the Pacific, and other small island states were disproportionately affected by climate-induced weather events.
We continue to lobby. Some lobbying is done on the platforms, and some lobbying is done behind the scenes. But we all use our various avenues of access, various strengths, or various responsibilities to carry the message of protecting the very existence of small island developing states who contributed the least to the climate problem, but who stand to face the greatest loss.
And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
I encourage all Jamaicans to be a part of the My Tree Legacy promotion. Planting trees is important and critical to our survival. It builds resilience. It provides us with air, water, and food. Go out today, plant a tree, renew your environment.
Register your alma mater for the Forestry Department's My Tree Legacy promotion and be a part of the preservation of Jamaica land we love. Let us highlight your contribution to the My Tree Legacy promotion by submitting videos or pictures of you leaving your mark. Every tree counts. Plant a tree today and keep climate change away.
GIS is just one addition to local technology development, and it's reaping big rewards. Here's how government is using this technology and what you can expect for Jamaica's technological future.
It's all around us. It influences how we work, learn, live, play, and plan for the future. GIS is the short form of Geographic Information System. It's a computer-based system built to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and display all kinds of spatial or geographical data.
In geography class in high school, persons were taught that in geography, we're able to locate where features are using coordinates. That's the basis of GIS. Knowing where these features are on the Earth's surface and being able to represent that within a computer-based environment where that is seen visually.
So it's a support tool that we use to provide additional extension to any business process.
And with this GIS technology, the government has been mapping Jamaica's course on the information highway. Leading that charge is the Land Information Council of Jamaica, LICJ, a mandate held since 1992.
Jamaica is considered the leading country within the English-speaking Caribbean with regards to GIS. We're able to provide direction, policy development.
In addition to coordinating the implementation of a national land information policy strategy, the LICJ has also been instrumental in developing a national GIS network. And with the foundation set, the Council is now focused on establishing and implementing a National Spatial Data Infrastructure, NSDI. Through that infrastructure, government will be able to capture, manage, maintain, integrate, discover, and distribute spatial data at all levels of society. The LICJ's mandate is executed through its secretariat, the National Spatial Data Management Division, NSDMD.
We provide a lot of technical support to all of these various government agencies that actively use GIS to carry out their mandate. We train these persons. Apart from that, we facilitate conducting GIS needs assessments.
Government is currently the largest user of geospatial and related technologies, and that usage runs throughout government. It's seen in the water sector, transport, disaster management, environment management, national security, education, health, and agriculture. But no other area has seen the proliferation of GIS technology than that of land use and development. At the Urban Development Corporation, GIS is used to streamline operations in various departments, including estate management, business development, architecture, and corporate security.
We are on the road now to our 50th anniversary, and we see GIS as being that enabling tool to provide UDC now with not just the way to make better decisions in development, but also improving UDC's image as a modern entity.
The same is true for the National Land Agency's land titling, land valuation, surveys and mapping, and estate management divisions.
A lot of the business processes that exist within the different divisions have GIS tied into it. So for example, there is no way that somebody can, at present, acquire a new certificate of title without some work happening on the GIS end.
The National Works Agency also uses GIS in project planning, land acquisition, and location analysis.
Everything that we do has a spatial component to it, and it's hard to deny that GIS is going to play a role in all of that.
Cost savings, greater efficiency, faster decision making, improved communication, and better record keeping are all derived from the use of GIS. And the private sector also has been getting in on the technology. Increasing GIS nationwide is also a focus for the LICJ and the NSDMD. To facilitate this, the government has signed an enterprise license agreement with the Environmental Research Institute. That agreement has been a game changer.
It has allowed us to be more efficient, in terms of accessing the data and using it to provide more information and to engage also with the public as well.
What it does is open up a whole new world. So there are almost no limits to what we can do with GIS and improving the way we handle our spatial data as a government.
Public awareness has also been heightened with the GIS Day during Geography Awareness in November. That observation has been staged annually since 2003. In 2017, with the LICJ celebrating 25 years groundbreaking work, there will be a 2-day GIS user conference in October. The conference will focus on national security for sustainable development under the theme Geospatial Technologies, Mapping Our Way to Secure Communities. As we strive to learn more about each other and the world around us, there is no doubt that GIS is the most practical and beneficial tool in this process. As Jack Dangamond, co-founder of the Environmental Systems Research Institute, said, GIS is waking up the world to the power of geography, the science of integration, and has the framework for creating a better future. We invite you to learn more about the GIS User Conference by visiting the webpage at gisuserconferenceja.com.
The sciences open up a wide range of possibilities when it comes to career choices. Today we're highlighting one path that's maybe not so widely trodden locally, but it's one that you may find fascinating. Here's all you need to know about nuclear science.
Science is an essential cornerstone in the creation of a modern society.
As the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology pursues its mission to increase the popularization of science in schools, we're highlighting one of the many careers that one can undertake in this field. Nuclear science involves applying nuclear techniques to investigate and study different fields. Here in Jamaica, nuclear techniques have been applied to conduct studies in areas such as agriculture, health, and climate change. Unfortunately, the field of nuclear science is largely male-dominated, but there are females out there who have been doing great work and have solidified their space.
I work in the nuclear analytical lab. I started out in engineering and transitioned into this field, so it wasn't exactly on my radar. I wasn't told about it in high school, and it wasn't something I knew really existed per se, which is what we're trying to change here, to get people aware that there is this field that exists and is actually here. So I had the privilege of seeing an opening and I applied. I love projects. I love investigating. For me specifically, I love marine and atmospheric studies, which is how I use nuclear science to investigate the marine environment and urban air quality. It's been fun. No 2 days are the same, which works for me. And it definitely requires passion and interest because the field is constantly changing. There's always something new to learn, while there are things that are established. Like in science in general, science also continues to present new information, and that new information can change how you do certain things or maybe how you look at future projects. So it requires that you constantly read. It requires that you're constantly open to really, understanding why is it that you're doing what you're doing and how it actually can help solve the bigger picture, not just doing it for the sake of doing it. Science in general is a male-dominated field. It's for sure that is exactly how it is. It's why the UN has the International Day for Women and Girls in Science, to encourage the changing of that situation. Personally, I've never really been daunted by the fact that it's male-dominated because it's something that I'm interested in, so I pursued it irrespective of that position. And so I'd encourage girls not to look at the fact that it's mostly men look at it as, okay, since it's mostly men, I will find my place. You know, you can find, for everybody in this field, you can find your place and to learn from them. The men that I work with here are incredible. They teach you, they are open to, you know, helping you to learn and to understand. And for me, who was transitioning from another career into nuclear science, something that I didn't study in my undergrad, they were pivotal in helping me to understand how to do things. I didn't have a female in this lab to work with. So males can be allies as well. So it doesn't have to be a male versus female thing. I think it's just to stay open. Don't get discouraged. I wasn't a huge fan of chemistry in high school, and yet a lot of my job has to do with chemistry. But I think things change, you know. Sometimes it's a teacher that you're exposed to. Sometimes it's just a stage in your life. You might prefer a particular subject, but don't feel daunted by the task at all. Just still pursue what you are interested in.
If you caught the opening, you would know that we're celebrating science and technology all of November. This year, the month is being observed under the theme Science and Technology, the heartbeat of national development. And the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology has a lot planned for the observation. Here are some things you can expect. Number one, a virtual staging of Jamaica Technology and Digital Alliance BizTech Conference to be held today, November 10th, 11, and 12. Number two, a staging to highlight the top CSEC and CAPE achieving schools in science and technology will be held on November 15. The third event is there will be a conversation in science for International Men's Day on Friday, November 19. And four, a series on how to publish local research information will be held on November 23. If you thought we were finished, we're not quite done yet because a bar soap making workshop is planned for November 26. Of course, the events are virtual, but tune in, engage, create conversations, and see what you can learn to help contribute to Jamaica becoming the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
This is where we put the final pause for today's show. Thanks for sticking through the Jamaica Magazine journey. A refresher of yesterday's journey and others can be had through the JIS YouTube channel. Also, visit our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for more information. From all of us here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. See you soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.